Right, so this business with Rishi Sunak this past week reminded me no end of that piece of footage, you might have seen it, that went round a while ago when he was a kid talking about his friends and how he was friends with people of all backgrounds, before correcting himself and saying, not working class people though, obviously, because of course we're a different species from him. We're human for starters, which he was decidedly unconvincing at pretending he was on Laura Kuenssberg's show on Sunday morning. Robotic, repetitive, indulging in word salad, as comedian and writer Ben Elton put it. A mendacious, narcissistic sociopath, just like his former boss. He's rubbish in front of the camera. He has rote responses he sticks to. It all comes across as dishonest, not having the right answers, not knowing what to do, not caring how much his disaster of a government is ruining people's lives. Because they aren't lives that matter to him. They aren't the sort of people who he cares if they vote Tory or not. Many don't vote at all, after all. A third of the country, no less. And of those that do, he doesn't care if he wins your vote or not. You're just a helpful idiot to him if you do happen to back him. The wealthier the person running the country, the more incapable of doing so for the majority of people they are. Too detached from reality, a flaming scooby. Fundamentally, this is all in the news again because inflation has failed to come down as predicted, and the government, as per usual, failed to grasp the answer to bringing it down because taxation is a swear word to the Tories, yet taxation literally puts the brakes on inflation. No, we can't accept that, they cry. It is definitely not taxation that's the problem, because we currently have this enormous tax burden on people and businesses. You see, the highest in 50 years, no less, don't you know? Yes, but that tax burden, those higher taxes are being placed on the shoulders of those with the least, as per usual. Income tax rose, but the thresholds for it didn't back during the budget, so more people fell into the tax bracket for the first time. Has capital gains tax been uprated to match income tax? In other words, are those making money from dividends and shares and rental income finally paying the same rate of tax as wage earners? No, of course not. And they are disproportionately more wealthy. You had Nadeem Zahawi not all that long ago weaseling, firstly, of course, about being caught avoiding tax, but when he decided to resurface again once more, figuring the coast was clear at last, he decided to bleat about inheritance tax being too high. Again, disproportionately hitting those with the most, as it does, because these idiots just do not get it, and in multi-millionaire Zahawi's case, it hurts him personally, which will never do. Tax wealth, tax the rich, tax until their pips squeak. That'll bring down inflation, but no. Of course, they won't do that, just as assuredly as the mainstream media won't mention it either, as instead they sit on their hands as the Bank of England and their Mr. Bumble look-alike, act-alike governor, Andrew Bailey, hike interest rates again for the 13th time in a row, despite it failing to bring inflation to heel on the previous dozen attempts. The man is an idiot, just as disconnected from the lives of ordinary working-class people as he argues that wage growth, people wanting pay rises, people getting their incomes uprated at the beginning of the new tax year, that it's your fault that inflation is high. He is the man atop a pile of vast wealth, pointing down at you, counting your last few pennies, telling you that your greed is hurting the economy. He told Sky News, "We will get inflation down. We will get it back down to our inflation target. To do that, I have to be clear, and we do expect inflation to come down this year. To do that, we cannot continue to have the current level of wage increases, and we can't have companies seeking to rebuild profit margins, which means prices continue to go up at their current rates. But what I would say to people is that we expect inflation to come down. And it's important then that price setting and wage setting reflects that, because the current levels, I'll be absolutely honest, are unsustainable. You having enough to live on is unsustainable, according to this guy. He's got one job, this fella, one job, that pompous, bloviating Burke. And that is to get inflation down. And he's failing to do it. And he's blaming you wanting enough to live on. He's blaming you for no longer being able to afford your mortgage. He's blaming you for no longer being able to pay your rent. His actions are costing you even more money. So whatever extra you may have had, his actions are eating up. You then need more money. And he's saying, no, it'll drive inflation further. Please, sir, may I have some more? More? You can't have more. You're being greedy. Like I said, Mr. Bumble. And Sunak's response to that, oh, well, the Bank of England is independent and we have to respect that. Not when they're driving people into more poverty, sunshine. What has Sunak got to say to that? Well, we need to hold our nerve. Inflation will come down. Easy for you to say, Mr. Heated Swimming Pool. Easy for you to say, Mr. Sunday Times Rich List. Easy for you to say, Mr. Blind Trust. Mr. Infosys, by marriage, of course. Mr. On the Take and on the Make, just like Boris Johnson was before him. My God, we need a change of government. Surely, surely. Even Keir Starmer and his team can't have screwed up opposing this. Well, of course they can. Rachel Reeves, the wannabe next Chancellor, refused to comment on the BBC about the Bank of England's latest interest rate rise because it would undermine its independence. My God, she's repeated the Tory line. She's limper than a vicar's handshake. She got asked afterwards, well, surely you can comment on the strategy. That's what most people are complaining about. And surely you would think so after the Bank of England have raised interest rates to no avail 13 times over now. And she still refused, saying a future Chancellor should be focused on what government should do. Well, in that case, you're as much use to me and everyone else struggling right now as an overdunked rich tea biscuit is to the term strong and stable. I'd love to hear the centrists supporting Team Keith wriggle out of this one. Oh, no, it'll be all okay once he's in power and the Tories are out, they'll say, and then they'll pull the old, oh, no, the problems are much worse than we expected and we can't afford any of this anymore. Nothing changes. It's playbook, pull the wool over voters' eyes, 101. You've been warned. Voting Labour under Starmer and Reeves won't change a bloody thing. Naturally, Sunak is taking this narrative of wage increases driving inflation from the Bank of England to mount an attack on those striking for better paying conditions right now. Others that the Bank of England are now basically assaulting and blaming for inflation. NHS workers, for example. Doctor strikes, oh, they'll be hurting the economy now. They're asking for completely unreasonable amounts, we're told. Now, the pay review body is expected to recommend 6% for the health service, and now Sunak can go, nope, we can't have that. It'll hurt the economy. They'll just have to hold their nerve. Here's the thing, though. The pay review bodies are supposedly just as independent as the Bank of England is. So how come you can overrule pay review bodies' choices, but daren't question the Bank of England then because of its independence? One matches your ideology and the others doesn't. And that's all it comes down to. And it shows Starmer's lot up to be the red Tories they are as well. Tax the rich, tax wealth, fix the problem. Both parties are reliant on wealthy donors, both wanting more of them, both are running the countries, or planning to, in their interests and not ours, and the politics of both is on show here to prove it. Want another example? Okay, teachers. 40,000 of them left the workforce last year, left teaching completely. That was 9% of all teachers in the UK. The pay review body there recommends a 6.5% pay increase. Rinse and repeat. They'll not get it. They'll go on strike again. How long, when all these strikes have been going on, before the police turn up with their new powers and start arresting doctors and teachers for breaching the peace, for daring to protest for better paying conditions, for holding up a slightly too big for someone's liking placard? More Tory attacks on ordinary working class people, all pushed through without the proper scrutiny because Labour refused to block those new police powers. Gee, I wonder why. Here's the most salient bit, though, when it comes to this argument of wage increases driving inflation, though. The wages of the wealthiest earners have gone up. Those earning more than £180,000 a year have seen their wages rise by 7.9%. Someone on £59,000 has seen their wage rises drop from 7.2% to 5.5% over the last year, and those on £26,300 saw their wage rises fall from 9.5% to 4.7% from just this January to this April. The lower your earnings, the greater the rate you're losing spending power. Inequality is rising still, even now, despite all of this, even over this. And that is a driver of inflation. If Andrew Bailey was so sure pay rises were driving it, in what way is he holding his nerve? Anyway, where is he taking his share of the pain? He's on $500,000 a year. Why not take a pay cut, Andy? Why is any of this necessary if he is right in what he is saying and inflation will fall anyway? I've said it several times. I'll say it again. Those with the most, those with untaxed wealth, they can take the hit. They can still be rich after taking the hit, and this problem can be dealt with pretty much overnight if someone would just be honest and say tax is a brake on inflation. We need more tax, but we need the right people to be the ones paying it. There's your answer. The trouble is everyone in positions of power is lying about it, preferring people they have no idea about to suffer instead. Threat of eviction, hold your nerve. Haven't eaten for days, hold your nerve. Bills overdue, hold your nerve. Bailiffs at your door, hold your nerve. These aren't problems Sunak and Bailey and Starmer and the rest of these wealthy, incompetent, out-of-touch fools will suffer from. It's exclusively a problem we, the working classes, face. And they clearly couldn't care less about us. And after you've liked, shared and subscribed to the channel, which you hopefully will if you like watching the powers that be get pulled apart for their failings, you can watch this video here where Suella Braverman's police bill, that we have mentioned a couple of times here, that stunt might now be seeing her get sued. Hundreds of other videos to peruse as well. Do hang out on the channel a while and clear yourself up a little bit and I'll catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.
Goodbye.
Oh, evil children.